we stand with you. Isn't it amazing when your network cares about you so much that they do amazing things for you? Yeah, you guessed it. I'm talking about Vodafone Cash dropping all charges when you send money to all networks. Yeah, it costs nothing now. Absolutely nothing. When you send money via Vodafone Cash to all networks, just send any amount at any time as you want to any network and pay zero charges on the money sent. So go ahead, make payments, show your love, make contributions, send money as many times as you want via Vodafone Cash to all networks for free. Dial star 110 hash and send cash for free. Ready? Okay, still on the theme of Sika. GT Bank has great news for all salaried customers. Yeah, we get that things can be hard and everyone needs some support to get by. Well, GT Bank's Quick Credit is your trusted friend in hard times. So when emergencies crop up, don't panic. Just pick up your phone and dial star 737 star 0 hash. Select Payday Credit and follow the prompts to access up to 100% of your salary instantly. Yeah, instant cash at 1.5% interest per month. You only need to provide them with your employer's undertaking and the money will be credited to your account in a minute. GT Bank Quick Credit for every Ghanaian. Call 0302-611-560 or use the toll-free number 0800-124-000 for further inquiries and assistance. Guarantee Trust Bank. Wouldn't you rather bank with us? So are you looking for a one-seater, two-seater, three-seater, L-shaped sofa? Crafted to the finest detail and available in various colors for your home, office, or hotel? Are you looking for comfort, durability, quality, perfect finishing? Do you basically want to get your money's worth? There's one place for it. It's called Latex Foam. They are your one-stop shop, whatever your choice or budget. Latex Foam, your partner for life. So much on the plate this morning. We've got the Bagra Dam spillage. We're going to talk also about road accidents on Arrive Alive. Try and figure out how we can minimize speeding in a systemic way, okay? But before all of that, Sikanaba. And it's already sparking conversation. So let's get into it. And by the way, I would love to hear from you. So make sure you tweet at us. Use the hashtag JoySMS, okay? You know we're going to read your tweets here on the show. So get them in as quickly as you can. Start with the hashtag JoySMS so we'll see it and share it with the world. Social media messages on the Super Morning Show are brought to you by EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. Now, in line with the Registrar General Department... In line with the Registrar General's Department's directive for re-registration of companies, EcoBank invites you to the interactive Facebook Live event with the Registrar General's Department today, Wednesday, 16 September 2020 at 10 a.m. Now, here's what they'll talk about. Regulatory needs and benefits of re-registration. Consequences of non-compliance with the regulatory requirements. These things will all be on board. To be part of this great opportunity, just go to EcoBank's page on Facebook, like the page. It's called EcoBank Ghana Limited. And do that for this live interactive event this morning at 10 a.m. You want to know more? Call EcoBank on the 24/7 toll-free number 3225. EcoBank cares. Remember to observe social distancing, wash your hands frequently under running water for at least 20 seconds with soap, and avoid touching your face. The hashtag is Stay Safe with EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. Okay, hello Ghana. How are you feeling today? If it's been boring, then it's time for you to turn your frown upside down. What am I talking about? Well, it's about you getting free dinner at your favorite restaurant, or free fuel, or 10 gigabytes of data for free, or even free cable subscription. I mean, anything you can do with 50 Ghana cedis of free money is what I'm talking about. How? Well, Visa, the global payment technology company, is giving 50 Ghana cedis cash back to you for paying for your needed items and bills online at your own convenience, in your own comfort, with the optimal security that Visa provides. Now, the fun never stops. So, my brother, my dear sister, be sharper than sharp. Go for your 50 Ghana cedis cash back from Visa by living the e-commerce lifestyle that is ordering, shopping, and paying online. All you have to do to enjoy this reward is ensure that you are shopping online securely on trusted e-commerce platforms, and you make your online payments of over 350 Ghana cedis easily with your Visa card or Visa on mobile. And voila, Visa rewards you with free 50 Ghana cedis just like that. It's available to the first 10,000 winners, so pay safe and you will get rewarded by Visa. Thank you. Okay then, All right, then. So let's talk about it. Yesterday, we heard the news that all whose money deposits had been locked up in the 5-year bonds that was established for depositors into the savings and loans and microfinance companies that lost their licenses. All of those monies are to be paid by government. The receiver, right, said that he had taken receipt of the money, and so payments are to be made. Right?
Yes, Kusho. So the receiver, Eric Nananipa, says that government is made available 3.56 billion Ghana cedis to pay those whose monies were converted into bond, or for a 5-year period. Now, I just would want to get into that particular statement that was released by the receiver yesterday, and would also get to the antecedents of all of this, how we managed to get here. Some of the analysis. We'll be hearing from the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta. Now, when Ken Ofori-Atta appeared on Newsfile on the 8th of February 2020, Samson Ladi asked him that question: how much money have we paid? How much is left? The Finance Minister answered that we'll look at that, we'll look at what Eric Nananipa is saying, then we'll do the analysis and go on further to ask questions where the money is coming from. And of course, for those of you who have your monies locked up, I know today, lots of you will be heading straight to CDG, Consolidated Bank. They, bring us the Joy Business Minute. Now, they are mandated to actually pay all of this. Now, the release, Kojo, says that in line with government's commitment to protect depositors' funds and to show up public confidence in the financial system, government has made available to the receiver of the above resolved companies, savings and loans, microfinance institutions, and finance houses, a combination of cash and commercial paper totaling approximately 6.49 billion. So that was what government made available to them. And according to the receiver, they paid 6.07 billion and were left with an amount of 402 million Ghana cedis. So that's by way of making a point. Now it says the depositor payment scheme set up by the receiver to administer and fully settle all valid depositor claims.
Yeah.
This is very important. So you go there, make your claim, it is validated. So after the validation, the amount that is validated is what you're going to be paid, Kojo. Yeah. It goes on to say that, look, now it says after all of this were done, these depositors have indicated that the features of the bond, being non-interest bearing and with a tenor of 5 years, do not make the bond commercially attractive, thus creating a significant loss in value of their claims to them. Now, when we get to hear from the finance minister, you realize that they said that, well, they actually paid cash and paid a remaining 3.5 billion in what? In commercial paper, as in bonds.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for these persons, unlike what you normally would see in bonds, because bonds would come with interest, these bonds did not have interest.
Exactly.
And they said, well, if you wanted to, get your cash, you'd have to discount the bond. And you discount it at half. So that actually got a lot of people complaining. So according to this, it says, sensitive to these concerns and in order to provide additional liquidity to the financial sector, government has made available to the receiver or official liquidator additional cash amounting to 3.56 billion to the total value, equivalent to the total value of the component of funding required to fully satisfy the indebtedness of the resolved entities to their body depositors. It is the expectation that this additional cash of approximately 3.56 billion will replace the commercial paper which has been issued by government in favor of affected depositors of these companies in resolution. But, Kojo, one thing that we need to also establish is that, according to the receiver, it says the implication of the above is that depositors who have either received or are due commercial paper in partial satisfaction of their claims will now receive cash payments at no discount. For the commercial paper, they have, at no discount to them. Please note that depositors who have already discounted all or part of their commercial paper will receive a full refund in cash of the discount they suffered. As a result of this new funding arrangement provided by government, all valid depositor claims in the resolution exercise worth 6.49 billion in value are being fully settled in cash. And notice that given that from Wednesday, affected depositors can contact any branch of CBG to have their money.
Okay.
Now, so it means that if you discounted the bond, Kojo, you can go back and you'll be paid cash. So it's
for
like,
whatever discount you forfeited.
You forfeited. So whatever margins you lost as a result of discounting of your bond, the government says it is going to pay you the money. Now, my checks indicate, so I did a few checks, and my checks indicate that this is government of Ghana saying we have some money, so come and collect it and pay off everybody. Because many people have complained and have said we do not have money. Before we hear from the finance minister, and that's very instructive because he says a lot of things, we would listen to the figures he puts out there and compare them to the figures in the statement released by the receiver. We'll do a bit of analysis of that also. I wonder why Kojo Yankson is shaking his head. But let me continue. Let me continue. Yes, Samuel. Let me continue. So, Kojo, on the 31st of May, and we're starting off with one thing because we need to start with the revocation of licenses of microfinance companies.
That's where it all began.
That's where it all began. So, on the 31st of May, 2019, the Bank of Ghana issued a release which says, and I'll just do the first paragraph, the Bank of Ghana has with immediate effect from today revoked the licenses of 192 insolvent microfinance companies, with the list attached. In addition, licenses of another 155 insolvent microfinance companies that have ceased operations have been revoked. Now, that made it a total of 347. 155 of them had ceased operations, and so the Bank of Ghana decided to revoke their licenses. Now, the revocation of these licenses, according to the Bank of Ghana, was to get rid of insolvent and dormant institutions that have no reasonable prospects of rehabilitation and have denied depositors access to their deposits, thereby constituting a threat to the stability of the financial system. And by the revocation of these licenses, the Bank of Ghana seeks to protect the stability of the financial sector. And the list of the 347 was provided in there, which we are not going to go into right now. That's a long list, so
Indeed.
We're not going to go into that particular list. But then the Bank of Ghana also, on the 19th of August 2019, also revoked the license of some savings and loans companies and finance houses. So in that particular 16th of August, I beg your pardon, statement, the Bank of Ghana says the Bank of Ghana has with immediate effect from today revoked the license of 23 insolvent savings and loans companies and finance house companies. Now these actions were taken pursuant to section 123 of the Banks and Specialized Deposit Taking Institutions. Now, following the revocation of these licenses, Kojo, they were asked to validate their claims. So a receiver was appointed to receive the assets and liabilities of the firms whose licenses have been revoked. The receiver here was Eric Nananipa. His job was very simple: take stock of all, assets and liabilities by validating the claims of these persons. Those who, so that by way of liabilities, you validate the claims of depositors, and once the claims are validated, you determine the validated amount and when payments will be made. Normally, you would expect that as this has been done, after the validation, the people or the assets now will be sold and the monies realized used to pay these persons. But something has happened, and at this point, I'd like us to listen to Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, because he talks about how much was involved and why government decided to pay. But because there's been a lot of concerns, about why government would choose to pay, particularly when people have decided to put their monies with private institutions. Some have decided to, invest high-yielding returns which come with risk. Why would government decide to take this? But first, hear him talk about how much is involved in all of this.
Because before you make the decision that you're going to make full payments of the deposits, you would have made an assessment to know how much exactly is at stake.
Well, right now, our assessment, I think we have about 16.28 billion. We've done about 12, so we have about 4 billion CDs that we have to do. We'll see. And with that, as I mentioned, I have maybe 1 billion CDs somewhere, and then I can also add some paper to that.
And these payments will be made in full as promised by the President, and he directed you to ensure it is done. This will be done this year?
I don't know what the President has promised that has not happened, you know. We'll get out
this
of
will
the
happen
IMF
this year?
It has to.
Everybody will get their money?
It has to happen, you know. It's a toll tax, isn't it? But it leads to our also realization of how we should be more circumspect as a country, as investors, as individuals. And that's just a painful lesson.
But what's the wisdom in that? That I deposit my money with a private institution, and I lose my money with that private institution because of, you know, some reckless acts of that institution, perhaps, and then the taxpayers' money is being used to relieve.
The taxpayer.
What's the wisdom in that? Making sure everybody gets 100%.
I'm sure. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Samson. The taxpayer is also the person who deposited their money. Is that right?
Maybe.
I mean, they are not different people, really. You know, and so it goes to say. But you know, you run a country, and there's you want cohesion, and you want a sense of peace, and people to go about their duties, and therefore, if a government has licensed an institution to do X, Y, and Z, then that institution has to deliver. The issue is that, I mean, this is not the first banking crisis in the world, you know, but you need to come through. So the deposit insurance system has now been put in place, so you know your limits. We need to go after people at the Bank of Ghana who participated in this. I mean, fortunately for us, that that moral issue is being resolved. I mean, the past 3 weeks you've seen an escalation of that, so that's wonderful. So things will go wrong. How do you then bring some equanimity and ensure that people can go about their normal duties? So it will be unfair, but you know, you provide security sometimes to certain places you don't.
Is there a specific timetable that the depositors can look up to?
Yes, I mean, I think we and Bank of Ghana are almost close to the decision as to when we will trigger it. But the assurance really is that we have some cash that we can use, and we have some instruments that will bundle together to make that happen. We need to park that behind us and move forward, and people feel a sense of security that when a government declares something or when a government manages something, it is done well.
The usual thing is that the normal is that whilst they were being paid about 10,000 or 20,000, then the receiver will get into action and seek to recover.
That's correct.
And realize the assets of these defunct entities.
That's correct.
That money will be used to pay depositors.
Yeah. So what we are doing then, I mean, given that theory, is that we are now front-ending and saying that, okay, maybe we have the capacity to wait a little longer than the individual. And really that's what the presidency is saying.
I'm sure that depositors will be very excited listening to you and watching you this morning give this assurance that at all costs they are going to receive their deposits in full, locked up in this microfinance.
All right, so Kojo, that's Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta making that promise. And in there, just a few things, Kojo, just by way of, you know, it says that, look, so far they validated 16.2 billion, Kojo, and some 12 billion paid. There are 4 billion left. He said he has, you know, 1 billion somewhere that he's going to get. The rest by commercial paper, that's the bonds, which we have seen. And now government is saying that they're going to, you know, give cash to everybody.
But he said all this in February, right?
In February, yes.
February, okay. So essentially what is happening today, is it a complete fulfillment or direct fulfillment of what he explained on Newsfile, or has something changed?
Well, so what he said on Newsfile, he talked about using paper. That's the bond to pay. And so whatever the situation was, everybody was going to receive the money. And, you know, when you're issued with a bond, it means that you will get your money. But in here, normally you're issued with bonds that have interest.
Okay, then I think this is the point at which I start to get a little confused, and you can help me.
Yeah.
So in February, the finance minister said, we're going to pay everyone, but we're going to give them bonds.
Yes, we're going to pay everyone, but we're going to pay some 3 billion of it using bonds.
All right. So part of it will be in bonds.
Exactly.
All right. So in February, the finance minister didn't say we're going to give them cash.
No.
Okay.
He didn't say we're going to give everybody cash.
All right. Has that been said at any point? Has anybody promised cash at any point?
Well, the president promised cash, Kojo, and yesterday on Election Voice Quarters, the president promised that today, starting today, and for him, latest by end of month, everything would be settled.
Let's hear him.
DKM. Yera Mahama Okono, Ujaka Wanachi, Bebia, the fire, Kankwan, me veto here. When just come at me, so I can't do Ujabi. A DKM is so Ekahon. Nenam, she said, Pie, I have Bob Organic Sika Paso, Sika, a Quampasuntino, and then to me and your Sika, you did your DKM Foka. Bebre nyawo sika de da. Martin so said nan say ye tia binumka by the 16th of September. Ni tia obiaka our DKM. Na bank transfer. Say ni ntino. But I make on the 16th of December. Me say by the end of September, Bosumi betwa to no. Na obia our Ghana. The sika ko di DKM no. Na ni saka the sika. Now we're giving the money. Yeah, the sika obia sika 100%. And the demano. Yeah, and your percentage payment and now Amahama ban area. We're paying everybody in full. Obia and saka the sika.
So that was the president. We actually played this yesterday as Election Voice Quarters. But he was speaking specifically about DKM customers, right?
Yes.
Okay, which was a campaign promise, wasn't it?
Exactly.
Okay.
And which is part of microfinance company institutions. Now, the president embarked on a tour of the Bono East and a half regions. Now, he started that tour on the 8th of September. So it was around that time that the president made that promise.
Right.
You know.
But okay, again, we need to put it in context. He was talking about DKM customers. And DKM, of course, has been defunct for many years. But for those who had deposited with savings and loans and microfinance companies that lost their licenses last year, for them, the arrangement, as we have always understood it, as Ken Uforiata explained it, was that some part of their deposits were going to be securitized into a bond with no interest for 5 years.
Yes.
But that has changed.
That has changed now.
Just yesterday.
Yes.
Cash has been released.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Kojo, just a bit of clarification here, because I know that apart from the microfinance institutions, which we all know, a lot of them, 347 of them, the savings and loans and finance houses, it's important we put them out so that, people can appreciate it. We're helping make it very easy, because a lot of people have been sending messages, where do I go, which one? So, when it comes to the finance houses, these are the finance houses that had their licenses revoked.
Yeah.
Accent Financial Services Limited, All Time Finance Limited, Crest Finance Limited, Dream Finance Company, Ideal Finance Limited, IFS Financial Services Limited, and Sterling Financial Services Limited. The savings and loans companies are Doom Savings and Loans Limited, Alpha Capital Savings and Loans, ASN Financial Services, CDH Savings and Loans, Commerce Savings and Loans, Express Savings and Loans, First African Savings and Loans Company, First Allied Savings and Loans Company, First Ghana Savings and Loans Company, First Trust Savings and Loans Company, Global Access Savings and Loans, GN Savings and Loans, Legacy Capital Savings and Loans, Midland Savings and Loans, and then Women's World Banking Savings and Loans, as well as UniCredit Savings and Loans Limited.
Okay, well, full list there. For those of you who want to know which of whether you are included in this or not, there you go. Now you have the full list. So I suppose the question now, and the reason why this has actually become a debate point, is because, as you can well imagine, the opposition have started to suggest that this is simply a political gimmick. and that government has gone to find money somewhere, probably borrowed money somewhere, just to satisfy the voters. Because they've realized that this problem with keeping people's money for 5 years in a bond without interest might not be a point with which the depositors would be pleased. So there is that suggestion. How much of politics do you think is being read into this?
Well, politics will always be read into a lot of things, particularly if you're very close to elections. You're 3 months away from elections. You've had promises being made, when it comes to the payment of locked up funds. Even though government had indicated earlier that that paid, everybody was looking for it to paying 100%. The last time the governor of the Bank of Ghana engaged the president, when the president paid an unannounced visit to the Bank of Ghana, he said that, 95% of them had been paid and the remaining 5% were going to be paid in the next week or so. So he said 100% would be paid.
But of course, he was still talking about
them
getting bonds.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you decide to pay all of a sudden cash, when you had earlier said you had commercial paper to pay them, the questions would arise. Did government do this because a promise has been made to pay all of these persons by the main opposition party? Was it part of government's plan to pay them? The president made this announcement in the second week of September. The opposition party launched their manifesto on the 7th of September. At the time the president was making this promise to DKM customers, he talked about DKM, but he gives a particular date. And so that date that the president gives, Kojo, that's the 16th of September, which is still the date we are working with today, for all of them would indicate, and here I'm contextualizing and analyzing, that it would indicate that at the time the president was making that announcement, because he was talking to a specialized group of people here, as in the DKM customers, he made just a reference to DKM. But at the back of it all, the president knew or was making an announcement that he was going to pay everybody whose funds had been securitized or what have you. So you can do all the things you want to do. But for me, my concern in all of this is not the politics of it, but my concern is the economics of it. Where is the money coming from?
Indeed.
Where is the money coming from? And so this is the moment that we say as a country that we've had to reduce our revenue targets for the year. We've had to reduce our revenue targets, and we're having to borrow more because of COVID-19 to fund lots of things. Now, if we've had to reduce our revenue targets and we have to borrow more, does it make economic sense for us to be borrowing more around this time when, like Samson asked, finance minister, people have invested, they've taken risk, and some of the risk haven't gone as planned?
Yeah.
What has prevented the government? Yes, the government has talked about, we need to sell off and raise money, but it's been more than a year in some instances. What has prevented us from realizing funds from the sale of assets? I know the last time there was an auction of some of their vehicles and what have you. But the question is, how much did we realize? How much of that is going into the payment of the depositors? Why must the state come in? What plans do the state have to ensure that these funds, as they are paid, doesn't just become one of those things that after the elections we forget everything, the directors and those persons who supervised the rot are left off the hook? For me, that's the most important thing at this point in time. Because as we borrow and as we fund these things, there's always next year. And next year, would we have the same fiscal space to borrow so much? If you want to see a country that is debt distress, look no further. Look for Lebanon.
Indeed. Indeed, that's an example we can point to. Now, I've got to say this, okay? Look, debt distressed countries have debt, it has brought some very, very respected countries to their knees. Greece.
Yeah.
Greece is an example. For a while, Greece was a third world country. Greece, part of the European Union, a country that, has been on every important council of nations for God knows how long, was suddenly a third world country because of debt. Now we are already a third world country. Our management of debt can make or break us. And that's the reason why it always comes up in political campaigns, it comes up in politics. So it is important for us to understand how we are actually solving this banking crisis. The role that debt is playing in it. We have to even understand the opportunity cost, because we are constantly reminded of what a catastrophe we have avoided. By intervening, by the authorities stepping in, taking back these licenses, whether it's for the commercial banks or whether it's for the savings and loans and microfinances. We are constantly reminded of the opportunity cost, the damage we have averted. Well, so far, as far as I'm aware, we've spent some 20-odd billion on the banking crisis. Am I right?
You're right.
So have we averted 20 billion worth of damage? Would people have lost 20 billion of deposits if this action had not been taken? I guess that's what I mean by opportunity cost. Because it's good to trust your leaders, and I think that most people do trust their leaders. But the reason why we trust you is if you are able to demonstrate the proof of what you say to us, so we can verify. So it shouldn't be sufficient for us to simply hear the government say, oh, we have averted a catastrophe, and then we all say, okay, thank you. Can you show us? Can you demonstrate to us that indeed the amount of money we have spent is less than the amount of money that would have been lost if you hadn't intervened?
Well, Kojo, so I'm sure today lots of people will be going out there and can't wait to hear from our listeners. I'm sure there are many of them who would love to join us and share their thoughts on this. For those who had complained 2 or 3 weeks ago, for more than 4 weeks ago, that their funds were locked up and they needed those funds. I think that's good news for them.
Absolutely. I mean, there will be people who are relieved today, people whose family members have medical bills they had to pay, people whose businesses were on the brink of being shut down. There are people who will be crying to the heavens this morning with gratitude for what has happened. As a nation, we still need to take account. We still need to, in the midst of our gratitude, we still need to ask the important questions. So let's do that. Let's do both. There's nothing stopping us from doing both, right? So why don't we get you to start us off? Okay, we're going to open the phone lines in just a moment. We want to know what you think of this recent development. Money has been made available to pay off the depositors whose money had been locked up in 5-year bonds. Okay, it's happened overnight. How do you feel about this development? Good news, bad news? Do you have questions? Is it something you expected or anticipated? Let's talk after these.
Economic prosperity is a process that begins with understanding the fundamental principles of success. As a nation, our goal is to build a Ghana beyond